Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas, and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host, Dennis Simpson, as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village, the award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village, is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them today at 1-800-364-9007 or find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com.
And back again with another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out. I'm Dennis Simpson on a warm July afternoon. We like it warm. I think it beats the options. I think back about 20-degree days in the winter and think, maybe not so much. I have a Google display in the kitchen that shows our photos, and Google's kind of diabolical in some ways. Google will pull up a picture from exactly 6 months ago, and there may or may not be snow on the ground 6 months ago. And you're like, yeah, okay, I get your point. Half a year ago, lots of contrast. Well, it's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Change. It's not everything's going to change and we're going to change the form. No. It's not that kind of thing. It's about change. It's about change in the village. It's about change in you and me. I remember as a kid, one of the bigger trips we ever took was to Glorieta, New Mexico. Glorieta, New Mexico, on a school bus with a church in the summer. And I have some great memories from that. If you didn't get the opportunity to have parents that hung out with you or that were chaperones or were whatever you call it in your youth program or whatever, you've missed an opportunity. I had the opportunity to work with my parents for 13 years at Best Printing. And I wouldn't trade that for a day. I really wouldn't. That was, wonderful times. We still look back and joke and chuckle. Was every day great and every day wonderful? And there was never a point of contention or aggravation? Oh, no, absolutely not. We're human. There were some great times, and things changed. I started an IT company. Coming on 30 years. Next year will be 30 years that I've been in IT. You'd think you'd learn it by now, wouldn't you? But no, it's that change thing, I digress. Back to my story. Glorieta, New Mexico, absolutely beautiful place. Church camp, Southern Baptist Church camp there. Rode out there in a bus. And on the way, a lot of the kids, as we got out of West Texas, and into God's country, New Mexico, we saw things we hadn't seen before. And somebody said, look, there's snow on the mountain. There's snow on the mountain. And then others would say, oh, there's snow on the mountain. And people were in their own conversations on a 95-degree bus, school bus, headed to Glorieta, New Mexico, across the country with 68 kids or something like that. And we would just about be out of range. And somebody else would go, oh, there's snow on the mountain. Oh, look, snow on the mountain, snow on the mountain. And as if on cue, when it had all died down, my mom stood up and proudly pronounced to everyone, look, everyone, there's snow on the mountain, as if she were the first one to discover it. Not because she was trying to be funny, but because she had been engrossed in another conversation. So snow on the mountain. Anyway, we got to Glorieta, had a great time. Well, life-changing time. Wonderful. Came back, and I remember as a kid, and it was just a week, but I remember coming back home, and we came obviously the same way we went. And as we got closer to home, I kept looking for changes. And it seemed odd. I actually looked forward to change. This sounds silly. David, my brother-in-law, and others, my mom and dad will know, we came past Turley's gas station and they had moved a fence. And I thought, wow, that really looks better over there. I'm glad they did that. That's just at the end of the street. And I noticed so many other things. And I thought, wow, that change. I kind of like change. And I remember as a kid thinking, I like change. That's pretty cool. And then it happened to me. See, Mr. Turley, yeah, he moved the fence, tore it down, moved it over because he had to. But I realized that was willing, that was intentional change. Well, got to notice this afternoon that we're going to have a coffee with the chief, and the chief's not Ricky Middleton anymore. As you notice, we just came out with an episode with Ken Unger, who is a wonderful guy, a senior Olympic special participant. I mean, just amazing. But he's not Jason. I miss Jason. Why? Because Jason was perfect? No, the one I knew. What about Ricky? Was Ricky perfect? Ricky Middleton, police chief? No, I'm sure, but he was the one I knew. And things change. That's the nature of the beast. They just change. I change. This next week, I'll celebrate 60 trips around the sun. This is where you insert, wow, you don't look good, bad. You don't look good. Don't look bad for 60, Dennis. Thanks. That's what I wanted to hear. Anyway, all that to realize that there's a lot of change. We've been used to quoting, I believe, this is my stats. It looks to me like we've been quoting that there's about 16,000 permanent residents in the village. I bet that number's closer to 19 now, and probably still growing significantly. I remember being able to buy inexpensive properties. Those were the days. Well, that's changed. Well, has it been all bad? Well, no. When I sell properties, I sell them for more. And when people sell and move to a nursing home or move out, or the kids sell it or whatever, they make more. So it's change. It's change in every way. I remember 22 years ago when I first started coming to the village, that everything on KVRE, our media sponsor, by the way, our joint sponsor, we love them. 92.9, as Tracy would say, streaming live, 92.9, not streaming dead, streaming live, KVRE. And if you get a chance, you really do. You need to pick them up. They fascinating people. But I remember coming here, and in the 2000s, the noughts, the noughties, as they say, the 2000s, everything was big band, Count Basie, swing music. Well, now all that music has changed, and we celebrate that one time a week with the 40s at 4 with John Chapman on Saturday afternoon. We have 1 hour of that kind of music. What do I see the future? Looks like more, instead of the American Songbook, which is what they play now, it's probably going to be more to pop rock, Eagles, that kind of thing, and some country mixed in. So it's a wide variety. It's a great radio station, no matter what. But once again, it's change. And it's changed, it seems like every day as I talk. And you've noticed this before if you watch me on YouTube, me and Randy. Randy has a beautiful yellow studio, he calls it, that is completely climate controlled. And unless the power or the internet goes out, his lighting looks the same all the time. My lighting gets bright and dark and bright and dark, and I turn red and look like Satan. And yeah, you get the picture. It's change. When you are in the elements, when we're exposing ourselves, we're available to change. What are the changes that are happening in the village? There's a lot of newer people moving here. There's a lot of younger people moving here. Discussions we've had before that we're going to have again. We've got a gentleman here who has a wake boat that makes big wakes, and those are technically against the policies, against the rules. But he really does kind of do his best to keep it turned down, but it's still against the rules. Do we have wave runners? I asked a lady one time, I said, why don't we have wave runners, on the lakes? And she said, do you see the way they drive those things? No, I don't, because they're never here. We've never had any. I haven't seen anybody acting crazy because there's nobody here. It's against the rules. And the rules will probably change as they continue to change. Management's changing. To be very, very frank about the village, we've had change is not necessarily even the word. Upheaval might be the word. I can remunerate the people and the upheaval and both sides of the story. It's not a sin. It's just upheaval and basically kind of chaos at sometimes. That said, the change that Mr. Kelly has brought, I think, is not only welcome, it was desperately needed. And from, you have different kinds of people, I met with Tucker Omahundro today, who I dearly, dearly enjoy. And he was the president of Cooper Communities here in Arkansas for a while, and he was the president of the village for Cooper. Sold a lot of homes, made a lot of homes. And he made it very clear that he was not in sales. He oversaw sales, but he was not in sales. I asked him a question one time, and he said, that's a sales question. And I thought, as much as I enjoy Kelly Hale, he's not in sales. He's in operations, and he will tell you that. He is working on the operations of the village, which we need, and we need some strategy and some long-term strategy. As I said to Kelly not too long ago in the parking lot, it seemed to me for a while the POA was playing whack-a-mole, just knock whatever came up down. And he's really changing that. Now, once again, it's change. Some of the people involved in the change before, I kind of liked. They were okay. But as it comes, they had to change. We had to change. We had to evolve. I've heard it said, and well, on a national level, there are the Supreme Court rulings that have come out have caused nothing but chaos. Well, elation some sides and chaos on others, no matter what topic you pick. I know you think you know what I'm talking about, but you don't, because I'm talking about all of them. But that said, that change, that disruption of what we would consider the norm is the norm. It's going to continue to change, and it needs to be refined. Do I agree with where things have settled out? No, not necessarily, but they didn't call and ask. The Supreme Court doesn't run things by me. But that said, I've heard other nations, other nationalities talk about the United States, and they have a point. One gentleman said one time that the United States reminds him of an older teenager that cannot make up their mind. They careen from side to side. They are of two minds at once. They will argue both sides of the argument and not have a definitive, clear position. We're a pluralistic society. I get that now. That's part of the two sides of things. But that said, it's change. It's growth. Not all change is growth, but it is growth. We're moving forward. We have avoided some conversations that we're going to have. We have, in the POA and in the state government and in the federal government, avoided some conversations we have to have. We still have to have those conversations, and there will still be change. There will be modification, and as in any place, there will be compromise. Most people don't even like to say the word, but in case you haven't figured it out yet, I am probably a conservative leaning moderate. I'm a very moderate guy. I can see both sides of the story all the time. I get it. I get it. That said, it requires a lot of juggling. It requires a lot of change. I hope that the change that we have, the newer people that are coming here, the other influences that are coming here, frankly, a lot of money that's coming here, I hope that we understand that the change is not bad and it's not perfect or wonderful in and of itself. It's just change. The fence for Mr. Turley at his gas station, he has a gas station. The fence was essential. Some things we're going to have to grapple with here in the village will be essential. I didn't like the buy-in fee. I still don't like the buy-in fee. Was it essential? I don't know. It's change. And it changes the profile. How bad you want to be in the village just got about $1,500 more difficult if you want to buy a home. But if you're moving from the coast where your homes are very expensive, and our homes were very inexpensive and still are really by any measure, we would find that a change. I was, as I mentioned earlier, I was talking with Tucker today, and frankly, with Rick Marshall, buddy friend of mine who does some real estate for me, who has been on our show a couple of times, wonderful guy. And as we were talking, Tucker said, who doesn't do this anymore, but he noted that, you can't build anything decent for under $200 a foot these days. Wow, really? Because I remember, I say this now, I remember a mere 20 years ago when it was 95 to 110. I remember 10 years ago when it was in the low 100, 130, 140 range. 200 a foot, huh? Change. Is it good or bad? It's just change. Hope that you've been enjoying our summer. Hope that you can come and check out the village, look around and see what things are like. If you haven't, you're welcome to go to a couple of sites. D&D Village Properties is our domain. That's Diana and myself, Dennis and Diane. DD Village Properties, we're on the webpage. We're listed. It's not a surprise. We have a live lake cam. We have our rentals. We have a lot of information about our favorite to-dos, places to eat here and in Hot Springs, things to do within an hour of here. A lot of things that we've covered on the show here before. And explore the village. Explore the village. If you want to, and I can't make this clear enough, if you want to come and take an unbiased 3-day tour, the POA, I think was it $270 or something? It's different rates. It's $250 for one rate if you don't play golf, and it's $350 if you do for the next or whatever, but you get to play at member rates and whatever. So look up a guest package, a discovery package on explorethevillage.com. Explorethevillage.com. Look up a discovery package. I have had, and I'll just throw this out, we have had people that have heard the podcast, seen the podcast, and then they would select to work with a particular realtor instead of nobody. And you don't have to work with the realtor. That's you get to do that, but you don't have to. A lot of people request Rick. He knows the lakes inside and out. That is his specialty. He's really working on that. Pat knows the East End well. You've seen her on our shows. Clara runs the largest real estate company in the village. She knows the area quite well. Not a realtor, but a broker per se. So she manages these things. Those changes, those opportunities, I think you need to avail yourself of them. I really do. I don't think we should be afraid of change. Change is neutral. We don't know if change is going to be good or bad. It may affect us differently, but it's just change. And as they say about death and taxes, change is pretty constant too. For Hot Springs Village Inside Out, I'm Dennis Simpson. We will join you with Randy next time, very soon, from Hot Springs Village.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.